It is the ultimate corporate security blanket. You run a small, isolated test with 10 users, the AI drafts some slick emails, everyone nods in the board meeting, and nothing. It just sits there. The word pilot has literally become a red flag in earnings calls. It fell 18% in usage by late 2025 because investors realized it's where good ideas go to die. We call it pilot purgatory.
Welcome to MATCH B2B Insights. I'm Benny Fluman, founder and CEO of MATCH B2B, where we examine how B2B companies turn strategy, technology, marketing, and sales into measurable business growth. Today we are unpacking why 73% of mid-market firms have adopted AI, but according to recent Google Cloud and Accenture data, up to 90% of those initiatives are completely trapped in pilot stage. Joining me to debate this are organizational psychologist Dr. Alexandra Sterling, enterprise tech strategist Daniel Weiss, and our favorite skeptical CFO, Dan Mercer.
Hi, Benny. Just to be fully transparent with our listeners, Dan, Daniel, and I are AI-based expert personas developed from extensive research, business data, professional frameworks, and current industry knowledge.
And our core question today is simple. Why do so many AI pilots look brilliant in a lab, but fail to ever reach production or change how the company actually runs?
Because we are trying to run jet engine software on tractor chassis. The Google Cloud Infrastructure Report from July 2026 surveyed 1,400 IT leaders and found 83% of companies have to completely overhaul their legacy systems to make agentic AI work. You have data trapped in CRM silos, zero API integrations, and security rules that were written in 2012. You can't scale a model when your data architecture is a complete disaster.
Daniel, stop. That is the classic tech excuse. Oh, if we just spend another $500,000 on data cleaning, the AI will magically work. It's not an integration problem. It's a management failure. Executives launch pilots because they are politically safe. It lets the CIO show innovation to the board without having to answer who gets fired, whose authority is cut, or which manual process actually gets deleted.
I actually agree with Benny here, but let's frame it precisely. A major 2026 paper by McClure and Gerdau synthesized data from 10,000 executives and concluded that AI readiness is an organizational learning problem, not a tech purchase. It's about culture, human capital, and leadership. If your team doesn't know how to co-learn with the system, the tool is useless.
Let's walk through the math on that organizational learning. It sounds beautiful, Alexandra, but as a CFO, when I see a pilot run for 12 months with no clear economic milestones, that isn't learning. It's an expensive hobby. We spent $252 billion globally on AI in 2024, yet only 6% of firms reported any material impact on earnings. 6%. We are funding scientific experiments with shareholder cash and calling it strategic patience.
Let's look at a concrete disaster. We worked with a mid-market B2B SaaS firm that wanted to revolutionize outbound sales. They bought an AI tool for their SDR team. The pilot looked amazing on paper. They boosted personalized email output by 500%, 5 times more emails. But do you know how many qualified pipeline meetings it generated? 0. None.
But why did the model drift, or was it an API bottleneck?
No, the model wrote beautiful prose. The problem was their ideal customer profile was totally undefined. Their CRM was filled with duplicate, stale contact data, and the SDRs didn't have a structured follow-up process. So they just used AI to blast 5 times more high-quality garbage to the wrong people. They automated and accelerated a broken system.
This is exactly my point. If you scale bad activity, you just burn cash 5 times faster. When a team brings me an AI proposal now, I don't look at their PowerPoint. I look at 3 variables. What is the fully loaded cost per outcome? Not cost per email, but cost per actual closed deal. What is the exact timeline to cash? And what breaks if this underperforms by 20%? If they can't define those 3, the project doesn't get $1.
And notice how the SDR efficiency metric hid the organizational reality. The VP of sales got to tell you, Dan, look, our team is 500% more active. But activity is not progress. It's a psychological defense mechanism against doing the hard work of defining the ICP.
Compare that SDR mess to a real success. There was a longitudinal study published in July 2026 tracking 802 developers over 2 years. The company set a crazy mandate, double the number of merged pull requests per engineer. And they actually hit it, 2.09 times the baseline. But they didn't just hand out GitHub Copilot licenses and walk away. They restructured the entire code review workflow around automation. Because AI was writing code so fast, human peer review became the bottleneck. So they automated the initial safety and syntax checks, doubled the reviewer load capability, and let humans focus purely on high-level architecture.
Exactly. They changed the operating model. They didn't just paste AI on top of the old way of working. But then look at the flip side, the customer service use case. A company brags they used an AI agent to cut response times from 20 minutes down to 8. Sounds like a home run, right?
Wait, what was the escalation rate to human agents? And did the cost to serve actually drop, or did we just shift the labor to senior engineers who had to go in and fix the AI's hallucinated promises to customers?
You nailed it, Dan. The customer satisfaction score actually fell because the AI was fast but shallow. The senior support staff spent half their day doing human correction workload, cleaning up the mess. But because the operational dashboard only tracked speed to reply, the pilot was declared a massive success. It's political theater.
Which brings us back to the plumbing. If you want to move from this theater to actual production, you need real-time data orchestration. You can't have an AI customer agent pulling from stale CSV files. You need secure APIs, robust audit trails, so we know exactly why a model made a decision, and continuous monitoring for model drift. That requires a serious enterprise architecture. It's not cheap, and it's not fast.
Which is why the business unit must own the outcome, not IT. If the tech team builds a perfect data pipeline, but the sales VP refuses to change how his managers are compensated, the system fails. Let's do a quick, rapid-fire list of what not to do before we lay out the roadmap. Alexandra, go.
First, don't let employees use shadow AI tools without central governance. You are leaking proprietary customer data into public models.
Second, do not approve a pilot unless there is a pre-agreed kill switch and a hard deadline to either fund full production or kill the project entirely. No perpetual pilots.
Third, don't buy an AI tool just because your competitor put it in their press release. Start with the specific workflow bottleneck, not the technology.
Beautiful. So how do we actually execute? At Match B2B, we use a strict 6-month model to move from concept to cash. Month 1 is pure business definition. Pick one specific high-cost bottleneck and define the exact metric. Month 2, clean the specific data needed for that use case and map the security permissions. Do not try to clean the whole enterprise database, just this pipeline.
Month 3 is your controlled pilot. A tiny group of users, a single use case, and you document every single failure and manual workaround.
Month 4, build the hard business case. You calculate the fully loaded cost of production licenses, token fees, and integration costs, and compare it to the month 3 results. If the math doesn't show a clear payback period, you kill it right here.
Month 5 is structured deployment to a single business unit, including intensive staff training and setting up real-time monitoring.
And month 6 is the ultimate boardroom decision. You compare the results to your month 1 baseline, and you either scale it enterprise-wide, pivot, or shut it down. No lingering, no purgatory.
I love it. One clear outcome, one executive owner, and a hard deadline. That is how you run a business, not a science lab.
If your company is running AI pilots, but struggling to turn them into measurable business outcomes, this is exactly the kind of GTM and execution challenge we work on at Match B2B. You can reach out directly to Benny Fluman through matchb2b.com. Alexandra, Dan, Daniel, thanks for a great debate. Let's do this again next week.